And before we get into this, I just have to give this little disclaimer.
Little Junior Source and Princess uh, are going to be heard in these videos. Listen, we do content, but we parent as well. So
We very much so parent. We have a 3-year-old and we have an 11-year-old and our 3-year-old 3-year-olds. So you might be hearing them in the background, and that is going to be okay.
Okay, ready?
You see it louder?
See what? 3, 2, 1, go!
Hey guys, and welcome back to our channel. I'm Pastor Rashida.
and I'm the greatest ex-boyfriend you ever had in your life. No, I'm about to not what to do.
Y'all will get that joke later. But welcome to Love and Bars. We've been together for 21 years and married for almost 16 years. And this space was created to have real conversations about kingdom marriage, healing, growth, and what it truly takes to build and sustain covenant. This is a place for transparency, wisdom, laughter, and biblical principles that strengthen relationships. We're so honored to have you here. So let's get into today's conversation. So what are we talking about today?
We are going to dive into something that is extremely important, but I believe quite damaging if not addressed.
Okay. And what is that?
And to be honest, I think sometimes God will open the door for our spouse and give them a moment and give them space. And if you're immature, insecure, or prideful, you will start competing with the very person you're called to cover.
Wow.
So tonight we're going to talk about being called to cover and not compete.
Called to cover and not compete.
That's what we're going to talk about.
Man. Okay. And that's a real thing. Because a lot of people, they may not say it out loud, but they feel it. They feel it. Especially when their spouse, when it's their turn, and all the attention is on that spouse and they're being seen, then the other one feels overlooked.
Yep.
Or they feel insecure when their spouse is thriving in a certain lane that's not theirs.
Yeah.
That's causes for wanting to try to do something, compete, or insert themselves. And instead of honoring the moment that they're in or celebrating with them or even helping them,
For sure.
they start to insert themselves into something that God did not assign them to do.
No, facts.
Even we're supposed to be helpmates, but that does not necessarily mean that everything that our spouse does is our lane to be in.
Yeah, because
We can help from a distance.
well, there's a difference between being a helpmate and having a hand in.
Oh, yeah, okay, you're right.
Everything you're designated or spaces that God gives you opportunity to be helpmates in doesn't mean that you have your hand in.
That's right, that's true.
Sometimes it's about having your head in it and not your hand in
And
it.
not your hand in it.
And so that's the heart of the conversation tonight. And the background for this is there was a point in time where I wanted so much for my wife that when it was time to create a platform, which I knew how to do, even if I didn't do it well for myself, when it came to her, I knew how to create a platform, and I was beginning to create a platform for her that she didn't want for herself.
And it wasn't even about me not necessarily wanting it for myself. I wasn't confident in myself to be able to do it. I thought that it was supposed to look like what he was doing and how he was doing it. And it was just too much pressure.
And it's always dangerous, whether married or not, it's dangerous to have to find yourself in something someone else is doing. When you have to ask yourself, where do I fit here, or what am I going to do here? That automatically sometimes puts you in a place that you're going to feel insecure. You're going to feel inadequate. You're going to feel not seen.
Not seen.
Because you're trying to figure out how this person you love is building something, and they're not building it with you in mind as far as administrating it or
Yeah,
whatever
you
the case may be.
I was just literally going to say that it's especially hard to see um, your spouse doing stuff, especially when you have nothing going on yourself. Like it's just an idle time for you, or you're just again not doing anything, and you're seeing the opportunities. You seeing them doing this, you're seeing them doing that, and it's just like, hey, what about me?
And I don't necessarily think that it's that you're doing nothing, it's that you're not doing anything mainstream, and especially in ministry. Because when you deal with the ministry aspect of it, which everybody who comes on here, I get it, y'all aren't all going to be ministry oriented people or pastors or leaders. But from our seat, when you deal with it in there, there's a space that puts you out of the crowd and onto the stage and in front of people. And when those moments come, those can be difficult to navigate because it's not about the other person.
It's not.
And I'm not saying that you shouldn't be a cheerleader, but you can measure and know where your maturity is in your marriage, your relationship, whatever you're doing, even in your dating spaces, with how a person treats your moment when it's not their moment.
Ooh.
So, point number one, every opportunity in marriage is not meant for both of us to lead. Yeah. I think, and
I
again,
think you just come out the gate swinging.
but I said this again. Sometimes God will open a door for your spouse that's not specifically for you
Yeah.
both. Though you are one, that doesn't necessarily mean that the door he opened is for us both.
Right.
That doesn't mean that one is less anointed. It does not mean that one is less valuable. That does not mean that God forgot about the other one. It just means that this moment and the assignment doesn't have their name on it.
And that too. And then we also have to make sure that marriage or relationship or whatever you're in has to mature past insecurity.
For sure.
Insecurity can be a huge killer because if we're not careful and if we're not cautious or watching what we're doing, we'll think that every blessing has to look the same in every aspect for both people at the same time. You get blessed, so that means I'm going to get blessed. Whatever's done for you has to be done for me, and that's not necessarily the case. But that's not how it works at all. We have to remember that's not how it works. There are seasons where one person leads in a space and the other person supports in a space, and there's another space where, and vice versa.
Yeah, and so we have to, what I like to call, honor the spaces.
Honor the spaces.
Honor the spaces. Learn to be a cheerleader. Learn to be a cheerleader. Support is not a weakness. Let's kill the thought that I gotta take the lesser seat to support my spouse.
But even it takes a lot. It takes a lot to support too.
It takes a lot, but you
That's
didn't,
doing something. Like that takes a lot. It takes something to support.
but you didn't get married not to be a fan of your spouse. It don't take a lot. You don't call this person your best friend. You don't call this person your soulmate not to be able to cheer them on. And
Yeah, that's true.
Support is not weakness. I got to kill that thought. Like in this video, I got to kill that thought. Just because they're being highlighted does not mean you're being hidden. Our spouse's moment does not make us disappear.
Okay.
And I think one of the hardships is when our spouse, that loved one that we have, that companion of ours is emerging. I think that if we're not careful, we'll let their emergence make us feel like we're invisible. And the danger in that is, don't your spouse, or I don't know, maybe it's me. Maybe I don't know. I know you are married, so
I am. You married, right?
so never fail to acknowledge you. Never fail to put you out there. I think the danger is when you fail to acknowledge who is with you on the journey. I can deal with not being in the co-pilot seat of it, just to know I'm with you on the journey.
And even when you were trying to build that platform for me, and again, I just completely crumbled under the pressure because I felt like I had to mimic or felt like you wanted me to do it like you. You were only giving me that space because you felt like you wanted me to have something to do and you felt guilty.
And but the hardship in truth was I was sharing with you how I did it with the expectation of kind of walking along that line only because of how God was shifting your character. You were hard,
I was.
rigid, kind of super guarded, and me, I was just a very compassionate, empathetic person. So that's another thing that people need to know at any space in a relationship is you can't force your character
Yeah.
on your spouse.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think that's good. And even with being a light and all of that, people begin to panic when they're not visible and they're not the one at the forefront. But we have to remember that visibility is not the same thing as value. It's not the same thing as value, and that you can be valuable in a room and not be the one holding the mic.
exactly. Maturity in marriage is knowing when to lead, knowing when to clap. Everybody walks, or everybody talks about a power couple. But real power is knowing when there's enough security in the relationship for one to say, this one is yours, and I'm good with that.
That's a whole lot of power. And then we also have to remember too that if your spouse shines and you feel threatened, the issue is not their moment. The issue is your maturity.
Ooh. They gonna cut this thing off. They ain't gonna listen to this whole thing.
No, they're not.
Your role is not always to take over. Sometimes your role is to complement.
Now, this one right here, I think is huge because a lot of people confuse support with control. They confuse support with control. They think that they are connected to you, that gives them permission to take over your moment, almost like a sense of familiarity.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yes.
For sure, because you are familiar with your spouse.
You should be.
You are familiar with your spouse.
Yes.
But
they're taking advantage of that familiarity.
But compliment doesn't mean take command. And I think those are the spaces where they're dangerous. If God gave your spouse that space, your job is not to become the commander in chief and redirect the room towards yourself. It's at those moments your job becomes, or maybe the job to cover, strengthen, add value without needing attention.
What you said was good, but also to add to that, I believe real love knows how to play position. Real love knows how to show up and not hijack the moment. Real love knows how to be seen and not heard. Because some people are not helping, they are hijacking.
Man, listen, that's a bar. I'm the bar. But no, some people don't know how to some people don't know how to compliment the other because secretly they need to be seen. So instead of supporting, they interrupt. Instead of helping, they control. Instead of covering, they compete. You should never compete with your spouse. A spouse that always feels that their spouse is in competition with them, it will always breed a form of jealousy
and resentment.
Almost sometimes gone unchecked, bitterness concerning,
and envy.
And these are not feelings that you're supposed to have for somebody that you're with.
Spouse,
not
dating, somebody that you're doing life with.
In no sector of companionship.
Should it be like that? And when the thing is when you are secure, when you are confident in your role and your position, you don't need your name called every time. You don't need the accolades. You don't need any of that all the time. You don't need credit every time your other spouse is doing something where it's time for them to be at the forefront. You don't need to remind people who you are. Hey, I'm such and such. Oh yeah, that's me. Secure people can fall in place without feeling forgotten.
One thing that I did early is made sure that she wasn't just Mac's wife.
And that's crazy too, because from the jump, that was, even when we first started dating, it was automatically put on me, oh, that's Max life. That's Max life. I would tell people, no, I have a name. And I made sure that, hey, this is my name, and I don't want to be hidden in that space of your shadow.
Yeah, but because you can be present without being prominent or trying to be prominent. If God gave you the mic, if God gave whoever the mic, then it's not my job to reach for it. If real love does not need the spotlight to prove that it matters, and I think that one of the biggest signs that you love your spouse is how you can cheer them on. I would rather go and get a T-shirt made, that says I'm a fan of her, than to be sitting worried about who I'm not and where direction you going in and I could be left. I don't feel like if we say that we're one, desire to be one, and whoever you are, that your person leaves you behind.
Man, because sometimes the strongest thing you can do for your spouse is not take center stage, is to make sure that they have the strength, peace, and support to fully walk in what God gave them. Pray. Like that's the best thing that we can do when it's time for us to be there just to support. Listen, pray and make sure that they are covered. Be their eyes, be their ears.
Give me one more punchline. Give me one more bar for them.
Listen, how about this one? Love is not always loud. Sometimes love looks like knowing your position and honoring theirs.
Yeah, you spitting tonight, big time. So let's go into the next one. Competition in a marriage will make you mishandle what God gave your spouse. I'm gonna say, you know what? Listen, I don't think they're listening. I don't think they're hearing me.
How about you say that again?
That competition in marriage will make you mishandle what God gave your spouse. Now, this is dangerous. This is the dangerous part. That competition in marriage will make you mishandle what God gave your spouse. It is arrogant to steal the attention from your spouse and make the opportunity about you. That's arrogance at its finest.
It's arrogance, but it's also not partnership at all. It's not partnership. It's not oneness. It's not working together. It is pride in relationship clothes. Do you hear me?
What is it?
Pride in relationship clothes.
Lord.
And pride will have you fighting for center and for the spotlight in a moment that was never meant to be or revolve around you.
Listen, some people sabotage the grace on their relationship because they cannot handle not being the one that the focus is on. Instead of protecting the moment, listen, we teaching y'all, instead of protecting the moment, yeah, I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you. Instead of protecting the moment, they start rerouting. Instead of celebrating the opportunity, they start measuring themselves against it.
That's where the breakdown happens. That's where the damage begins to happen, because now you're attacking and you're sabotaging the very thing that you were supposed to help build. Competition will make you damage what you were supposed to protect.
And it happens, and I don't think that people realize that you can cancel a person's opportunity by how you manage their moment.
Yeah.
That there are some spaces you come into that weren't ever about you, but you didn't took control. You didn't put your face and your mouth out in the forefront and messed up the opportunity for your spouse. A hard truth. There are rooms that some of us only stepped in because God had a hand on our spouse or the person that we love. Instead of being grateful for their opportunity, some people become arrogant. Instead of honoring the oil on their spouse's life, some people pull that moment back towards themselves. That is selfishness at its finest.
It's selfishness, and it could also be called reckless as well.
Say it again.
Because if God meant it for them, then it would be for them. And don't reroute or try to do anything to prove something or to prove who you are or your worth. You don't have to prove your value by stealing your partner's moment.
So you telling me that somebody could be a thief inside the relationship?
A thief inside the relationship.
Oh, robbing. You getting robbed.
Robbing.
And getting stuck up in your relationship. That's crazy. That's wild. That's wild. They what they were saying. Oh, they like, oh, that's wild.
It's wild.
That's wild.
It's wild.
You prove your maturity by honoring the assignment, by honoring their assignment. Man, listen, our heart is to help anybody in this position. And one of the best advice we can give you is stop trying to reroute what God clearly addressed to the person you love. Don't let your ego turn partnership into a rivalry. If you keep competing with your spouse, you will wound the very relationship you keep praying that God will bless. Go ahead and close this out, man. Take them home.
So, guys, if this helped you hear this clearly, your spouse being chosen for a moment does not mean that you are rejected. Their grace is
It's
not
not
your
your demotion.
demotion.
You hear what she said? It ain't your demotion. It ain't your demotion. And your job in marriage is not to compete to be the center of it. No, not at all. It is to know when to lead, know when to support, know how to honor what God put in each of your lives.
Compliment, don't compete.
Huh. Say it again.
Compliment, don't compete.
Say it again.
Compliment, don't compete.
Compliment, don't compete. Y'all heard what she said. No games to be played. Crazy to say this to you, but that's love and bar.
That's 11 bars.
Because real love does not fight your spouse for the spotlight. It helps them carry what God called them to do.
What God called them to do.
I hope y'all enjoyed this because we lived what we had given y'all. To arrive at this space where she supports me, I support her. I'm her biggest fan. She's my biggest fan. If we walk out of the house tomorrow and nobody buys her book, my book, nobody ever says anything kind or nice to us, one thing that we gonna know about each other is we gonna do for each other what needs to be done because we aren't threatened by the grace on each other's life.
That's facts.
So, listen, this is love and bars in its finest hour. Like, share, all of that stuff, and y'all stop acting like y'all don't see us. Because y'all see us.
Y'all see us.
We in the chat.
Yeah.
We in the conversation now.
So thank you for tuning into 11 Bars. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and turn on your notifications so you don't miss any new episodes. We air every Monday at 7 p.m. We appreciate you for being here, and we'll see you next time. Because kingdom marriage isn't perfect, it's intentional. This is 11 Bars.